I know, it's been way too long since I uploaded a video. As you can see, I am in a new space. My excuse is that I've been moving. And I haven't just been moving, I've been church planting. So this has been my everything for the past several months. So again, that's my excuse. Take it or leave it. I'm still sorry. I don't like being away from my YouTube channel. I do like making these videos, and I can't promise that they will be consistent, but I am starting to work on making new videos and uploading them. So, sorry. Hopefully some of you saw my video called How to Go to Church. I suppose if you've been an avid churchgoer for a long time, maybe that video wasn't for you. Because I did tailor that to two groups of people, really. Christians who've been away from the church for a long time, or people who are exploring Christianity and want to take that first step and go to church on Sunday. Because really what we talked about in that video was basically how to look up churches near you, a very brief explanation of who to avoid, how to dress, how to behave once you're there, and what to do in the context of the service. So naturally, that video has just the short-term goal of getting butts in pews, basically, and then hopefully the churches that maybe you attended did their job and actually spoke with you and worked to get you tied into the community. And if you're one of these people and you've committed now to going to church every Sunday, thank God. I pray that the community that you found yourself in teaches the word rightly, administers the sacraments rightly, and I pray that this community edifies you and cares for you, that your faith will be nourished there. It brings me immense joy anytime I hear that someone who has been away from the church or has never been in her to begin with has joined themselves to the church. That's a wonderful thing. Thank God. So this is something of a sequel, right, to that video. And I'm still speaking to those two groups, but I'm additionally speaking to a third group. That is believers, Christians, who have found themselves in a new church situation. Whether it's going from one tradition to another, like maybe you went from being, I don't know, a Baptist to an Anglican, or you went from being Eastern Orthodox to, I don't know, Presbyterian, whatever that looks like for you. Or perhaps you went from one communion within a broader tradition to another. Maybe like in my case as a Lutheran, you went from the Missouri Synod to the Wisconsin Synod, for example. Or maybe you just joined a new congregation in the umbrella you already belong to. Maybe you went to St. Mark's LCMS and now you go to St. John LCMS, for example. Any of these situations, you're the people I'm talking to. I think we do a very good job when we see new people in our churches, and I'm speaking generally here. Some churches are very bad at this, but I think generally we're pretty good at spotting new folks and making efforts to integrate them and making them feel welcome. I think we do a very good job in our churches talking about, and I'm not just speaking as Lutherans either, I'm speaking of everybody, all Christians. I think we do a good job of getting people tied into men's and women's groups, small groups, Bible studies, various ways to volunteer. Maybe you play music in your church, or you're the designated coffee maker, whatever it looks like. We do a very good job of involving people in our community. But the main thing I want to talk about is something I think we are actually very, very bad at. And I say this as a pastor. Like, I know, like, I have a part to play in this. I think we are very, very bad, especially during the process of catechesis, which is just education and getting people on board with what any given church believes. We're very good about explaining doctrine. I don't think we're very good at explaining behavior. And I don't just mean like be nice to people. I mean, what does the new Christian do in their day-to-day life now that they are integrated in the life of the church? How should a new Christian or a person of a new ecclesiastical situation, how should they carry themselves to be a good steward of this new thing that they belong to? Recently, and this is a wonderful thing, recently there have been some very high profile conversions to Christianity, broadly speaking. I'm sure you're thinking of some of the same examples I am, and this is wonderful, right? Like, we want, especially like for the sake of outreach, like, it's a wonderful thing to see celebrities embrace Christ, and there's been some very big examples of this, and that's great. But like everything else I'm going to talk about, one of the things that we tend to see is that when someone embraces these new convictions, there becomes this, I don't know if it's an expectation or a feeling of obligation, but oftentimes new converts to Christianity and people who've come back to the church after being away and people who join new traditions, there is this tendency to take it upon oneself to publicly act like a teacher or an authority or just a polemicist, apologist, generally speaking. Again, I see this from non-believers to believers, lapsed believers to active believers, and people who just have changed their situation. All of them seem to have a proclivity to do this, or at least a lot of people do. And I get it. Look, there's stuff on YouTube I'm not proud of about, like, when I was fresh in my tradition. I understand this inclination to want to publicly make a defense of your newfound convictions. I get it. The scriptures tell us, be prepared to make a defense for your faith. So that's true, and you should be prepared to articulate why you believe what you believe. That's all good. That's all true. That's all valid. But this is why I use the language of behavior in the beginning. While you should be prepared to articulate why you are of the convictions that you are of, that does not mean that you should make a YouTube channel the moment you convert and catalog all your reasons for converting publicly and making a defense against other opposition, I guess. Maybe that's not the ideal word, but let me give examples. I see people online all the time who, maybe someone was Muslim for their whole life, however long that is, and they become a Christian. Obviously, I'm thrilled with that result, but not too long after that this shift to Christianity takes place, suddenly this person has a YouTube channel where their whole goal in life is to debate Muslims. Oftentimes, when this person hasn't been a believer for even a year, maybe they're not even baptized yet, this kind of thing happens. Or what I see a lot these days, and again, this is because of the communities I'm a part of, people going from one Christian tradition to another. How often does someone, become convinced, and I know I'm going to get flamed for this, but I'm just going to use the stereotype. How often do we see someone entering the process of joining the Eastern Orthodox Church? They become a catechumen, and suddenly they've got a TikTok account called like Shield of Photius 420, and all they do is make funk edits talking about how like stupid Pentecostals are, or whatever. You know what I'm talking about. This really like macho, aggressive ortho bro mentality. I see people joining the Lutheran Church, my own church, doing it all the time, making all these videos, again, I use the example of like TikTok funk edits because they're usually terrible and they're filled with problems. And these people aren't, in the cases I'm thinking of, many of these people aren't even confirmed Lutherans yet. Some of them aren't even baptized, in certain cases, or, I'm sure that happens. And the problem is that these people are acting as if they have some calling on their life to do this. And I'm not saying they don't, but I am saying not all of them do. What we see happening all the time is people, and I think it's because they're some combination of zealous for their new convictions and also afraid that they might be wrong, so they feel that they have to go out and argue to sort of like assure themselves of their new faith or their new convictions. And what ends up happening is not unlike what happens when these new baby Christians try to do this publicly. They stumble. They say things that aren't true. They perhaps become prideful and arrogant, and they become cruel and mean-spirited as they navigate this. So what I'm really working towards saying with all of this is ultimately I want to just offer advice to new Christians, returning Christians, and Christians in new ecclesiastical situations. And I say this, and I'm attempting to say this as kindly and as pastorally as I possibly can. For you, the person who finds themselves in this new situation, be quiet. And I'm not saying don't share your testimony. I'm not saying that you are somehow forbidden from answering questions about your newfound convictions. I'm saying don't make that TikTok account. I'm saying don't make that YouTube channel yet. I say all of this because your fervor and your zealousness for your convictions, though admirable, most of the time needs to be honed. And when you're going to take it upon yourself to do these things publicly, you want to ensure that you are actually accomplishing your goal and not actually working against it. So my encouragement is that if you actually have this calling on your life to do apologetics and polemics, then you can get to it later. You can do it in time. You don't need to rush into it because God does not have a plan B for your life. God has called all of us to certain things. Everyone is called in some way, shape, or form, but not all of us are called to the same thing. I was called to be a minister. Not everybody is. In the same way, some people are called to polemics and apologetics, but not everybody is. And just like some people really feel a burning in the bosom to be a pastor, doesn't mean that they should be. In the same way, just because you want to get out there and crush the papists or whatever, doesn't mean you should. I have people all the time telling me, hey, I just got in this debate with this Roman Catholic guy or this evangelical guy or whatever. And, here's the screenshots. How do you think I did? And in many cases, these people, again, are not confirmed, maybe not even baptized yet. And they're going out there and they're having these debates and these arguments and these dialogues. And when this kind of thing happens, I don't really care how good or bad the arguments are. My concern is, why are you doing this? Why are you debating? Why are you going on these public platforms and doing all of this? Again, a lot of you know me from my interview with Javier Perdomo. I did that interview with Javier like a couple weeks after I was confirmed. I shouldn't have had that conversation that quickly because looking back, I said some things that were questionable, that were uncautious, but I did it because I was eager. I wanted to support my newfound beliefs. I wanted to make a case when I wasn't in a position to do so. Even now as a minister, I don't really feel like I'm called to do public polemics. I don't think I'm cut out for it. I don't think it's what God has called me to do. That's why even when I make somewhat polemical content, it's usually pastoral in nature and not purely polemical. So ultimately what I'm trying to say is that for you, dear Christian brother or sister in Christ, take your time and slow down. Talk to your pastor, your priest, your spiritual father for guidance in this. Take your time in discerning how you can actually use your time, your energy, and your skills to benefit the church. You are not a coward for not wanting to go debate everybody or not being ready to debate anybody. That doesn't make you dumb either. It doesn't make you wrong. It just means that's not a place that you're in right now. Maybe for now, God's calling on your life is to just learn. And really, I think that is how effectively everybody is called upon entrance into the church or a new situation. Don't be overly eager. Don't be rash. We're called to be wise. And I would I hate to use the word beg, but it's getting bad out here. I would beg you to trust that if you are supposed to be doing public polemics, that it will become apparent in time, and that if you are new to the church as a whole or just your church community itself, slow down, take your time, and breathe. You are still on plan A for your life with God. And you always will be. God doesn't have a backup plan for you. His will for you is good. And you can trust it. So with that, don't rush things, don't be overeager, and be aware of the damage that you can do by taking this role upon yourself when you're not called to it, or at least you're not ready to handle it. There's no shame in taking your time. There's no shame in just quietly sitting in the pews and living in the life of the church. Most people do really well with that anyway, and most people are called to live quiet, faithful lives, not be public polemicists on YouTube and TikTok. I do hope this is helpful. Please know if you feel as if I am directly calling you out, if you're an individual who feels as if I'm speaking to you directly. I might be, but I didn't make this video with like one person in mind. I'm talking to a lot of people and specific people all at once. So please don't feel attacked. This is just something that's been on my heart and something I feel that as the church we can do better about. So you have my prayers. And again, if you are someone who has come into the church after being away or being gone, sorry about all the Discord beeps and boops, know that you have my prayers, and I am just overjoyed that you are in your best efforts pursuing God's calling on your life. And I pray that you have nothing but success in that, but I also pray that you have patience in that. God's peace to you. Again, I will be making more videos soon, so I will talk to you and see you then. God's peace.